Hey everybody, this is Ed from edhart.me, and in this Google SketchUp snippet I'm going to cover cutting or designing a model to cut some little curved corners. And here you see the side panel for my spice rack, which you can download the full model, or you could head over to edhart.me and see the full plan on how to build it. But for this SketchUp snippet, I'm going to show you how to create the model that has these little curve features in it. And here we have a little S curve. This is supposed to be a 1/4 inch piece of plywood for this particular project. And I want to show you how to create that in SketchUp. So let's just jump over and pull up a new canvas. So I'm going to use a couple of different tools here. Really my arc tool, which I'm introducing you to, and you've seen me use the rotated rectangle versus the rectangle. I really like the rotated rectangle tool. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to go ahead and draw the main side panel plane. So I'm going to start here at the origin. I'm going to drag it up. This is a 36-inch piece of 1/4 inch plywood, so I'm going to type 36 inches here, and then I'm going to pull that out to 3 inches deep. So if I zoom to my extents and I use my ruler, you can see I've got this plane now that's 36 inches by 3 inches. Now in this particular design, the bottom of the spice rack is 3 inches deep, but the top is 2.5 inches deep. So I'm going to start by creating, and then I want to put those curves there. So I'm going to start by setting up a handful of guides to help me as I use the arc tool to make these curves look the way I want. And this is before I turn it into a group or use my push-pull tool or anything. So I want to go ahead and create this plane with the curves, so that way once I use my push-pull tool and turn it into a 1/4 inch thick object, all of my curves are already made. So let's go ahead and pull on the edge. Let's set a guide to come out to 2.5 inches, and we'll set that guide right there. So we know, let me just rotate this around a little bit so you can see it. We know that one of the curves is going to be right up here, and then I know from the plan that I want the little S looking curve to be about 10 inches up off the bottom. So I'm going to grab my ruler and I'm going to pull another guide up 10 inches and set that right there. Okay, so now in order to create these arcs, I want them to be about little 1/4 inch arcs. So I'm going to drag a 1/4 inch guide down, and I'm also going to drag a guide a 1/4 inch in from the outer edge of the top part of the spice rack side. So I'm going to create a 1/4 inch guide right there. So now if I pull that out, and because it's rotated, it doesn't look like it doesn't look like anything. Let's see here. Let's make sure we've got, let's get rid of this guide because that looks like I didn't do that right. And so I'm going to come back here right there and draw a 1/4 inch guide down. There we go, that looks much better. So now let's come down to this area. I'm going to twist this around so we can see it. So this guide here is related to the top, so we're going to ignore that. And this is where we want our little S to be. It's going to come down about like that, and then it's going to go down like that. So we're going to create several different guides so we have the marks to make our arc tool work. And again, we're going to use 1/4 inch increments. So I'm going to pull a guide out here that is a 1/4 inch. I'm going to pull another guide up a 1/4 inch, and I'm going to pull another guide down a 1/4 inch. Now keep in mind, as I'm doing these guides, you probably know this, but for those of you who may not have seen some of my other videos, if I were to put my ruler at an intersection whether it's an intersection on the edge or a corner, say a corner down here. It's not, my guides aren't going to extend. See, this just pulls out, but I have no guide. So I want my guide, that's why I'm coming just on the edge. So now you see I have a guide that's coming out. So I've got a guide that came up, and now I'm going to do a guide down. Again, to make my point, if I put it here on the intersection, my guide doesn't come down, but if I come to the line, my guide comes down. So there's another 1/4 inch guide. Let me rotate this a little bit more flat so we can see what I'm doing and move it up to the center of the screen here. So now it's time to use the arc tool. So we're going to grab the arc tool, and we know we want one of the arcs to arc in right here. So I'm just going to come to this little corner of the square. I'm going to click, drag, and now I'm going to build my arc right there. And I'm going to do the same thing. I want another arc to go right here, so I'm going to come down to this intersection. I'm going to click, bring my pencil up to where the other guide ends, and I'm going to drag down just like that. So just to pull it in a little bit. So now I have my little S right here, and I need to create another one right up at the top. So get my hand and move this down. So again, this is the 2.5 inch piece. So I want my curve to come right down like this. So again, I'm going to grab my arc tool. I'm going to come to the intersection of the little square I've made with my guides. I'm going to click, drag and click on the edge, and now I have my arc drawn. So now all I have to do is get my pencil tool and connect the arc right here with the one down here. That's easy to do, so let me just click with my pencil tool and draw a line right there. So now all I have to do is highlight the lines that I don't want to keep and delete them, and it looks like there's another little piece right up here. Highlight that and delete it. Now I have a plane with the curves right where I want them to be, and the next step is to turn this into a 3-dimensional object. So let me turn this just a little bit. I'll grab my push-pull tool, click on the face, push it in 1/4 inch, because this is made out of a piece of 1/4 inch plywood, and hit enter. Now I'm going to triple click on my object so that all faces are highlighted. I'm going to either use my top menu or right click and make this into a group. And now I have my side panel for my spice rack, and I've created some curves that you can see now when I turn it around. There you go. Right down there in the on the little shelf, and you can see curves right there. So that's how to use SketchUp to create some of the curves in these models. I hope you've enjoyed this Google SketchUp. If you want to see more, please check out my YouTube channel. And if you want to see how to build this spice rack or see a bunch of other woodworking projects and various crafty how-to things, visit www.edhart.me. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.